Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to get started with the disqualification show for the Talladega Superspeedway, and there is no shortage of stuff to talk about this week, that is for sure. Welcome to a special Monday edition of the show. We're going to copy the link here and find out what you all thought about the action today. All right. We caught up there. All righty. Get a couple more people in here. Welcome aboard, everyone. As you can see, we've reorganized things a little bit. Can you guys hear me okay? We've kind of moved the speakers and the everything around at the other location instead of having the screen in the background. I think that was a little bit too distracting. So we'll try something. We'll just do something a bit simpler here this time around. So Ryan Blaney, unofficially your winner today in Talladega, in the 24 hours of Talladega that now took over over a day to complete. Let me click this off here. There we go. And we now wait for inspection results to come back from the action that we just saw here at the Super Speedway. Unlikely that we're going to see any change in terms of a yellow line regulation, but hopefully this is a weekend that is now brought about a whole lot more questions about that rule and why it's there and if it needs to truly be there. We'll certainly talk about that as we go there. Chastain in 12th place. I didn't notice that there. I was looking at Corey LaJoie. Yep, 12th place unofficially. Fantastic. Great follow-up for Ross. Ross the boss there after his top 10 run at the Daytona 500. Seemed like a lot of people that did well at Daytona did well in this one, obviously being another plate race or tapered spacer race, but this much longer since February. Michael McDowell backing up his top 5 finish from that, finishing 5th today. Corey LaJoie with a good run there. Didn't have the problems that he had at Daytona. It's unfortunate for Ricky Stenhouse. Seemed like he had the best car in the field, especially today, unofficially in the 9th spot. Good to see Ty Dillon doing well in the race there, driving the Richard Childress throwback tribute to the first car that Childress drove in 1969. A very simple but I think effective throwback there. And good to see that he had a good run out there. And unofficially in the 10th spot, he and Logano were very much neck and neck for that position. As I was stating earlier, the unofficial results kept changing back and forth between which one of them was in 10th and which one in 11th. Now that the race results show the running order, it still shows Ty Dillon in 10th with Joey Logano with most of the door foam knocked out on the left side in the 11th spot. Matt Tifft, a great finish for him, the 13th spot. Landon Castle gets through the wrecks, finishes in 14th. Unfortunate job for Parker Kligerman getting involved in that accident with Chris Buescher coming to the finish line. Kligerman shown unofficially in the 15th spot, Buescher back to 20th. Buescher was really close to getting a good finish there, was having a good run on the inside. I know at Talladega it gets to the point where you say that everybody has a good run and everybody can get back up there. But we really saw a lot of that today and a part of yesterday as well. But of course, this is the last car disqualification show. So let's talk about the last place battle as well. Fairly open and shut on the Cup Series side. Poor old Spencer Boyd, after winning the Truck Series race, and we are going to talk about that for sure, has himself a car that just could not get up to speed and could not latch on into the draft. Had a major issue with that on Sunday. And on top of all this, there were reports that there was a small fire in the team's hauler after the close of track activity on Saturday. Hopefully, I mean, I didn't hear too many other reports on it beyond that, so hopefully it was under control without too much damage there, the Ware team's hauler. But Boyd's car was slowest in qualifying, ended up being in 39th just because Denny Hamlin's engine let go in qualifying. Was the slowest in the opening practice, didn't run in happy hour. And right from the start of the race, after having a brief side-by-side battle with, I believe it was Sorensen at the start of the race, just couldn't stay in the draft there, couldn't tag on to it, and lost 3 laps pretty quickly in the opening stages of when it started on Sunday. And then by the end of the rain delay, at the end of the first stage, he was 15 laps down. Most of those spent in the garage area trying to work on the car. Boyd was very frustrated over the radio, saying that he had the foot all the way to the floor, but the car just didn't have any more speed in it than what he was doing. The car wasn't bottoming out. They checked underneath the car, didn't see anything that was dragging or anything, but still stayed on the track and stayed the extra night to see if they could do anything to improve on Sunday. Certainly with all these accidents, it left open the possibility that he could have gained a lot of positions As we saw with Blake Jones being in the 39th spot, he ends up finishing 31st, being multiple laps down. Unfortunately, just not long after the race restarted, he pulls behind the wall, and that's the end of it for him. I thought originally it was going to be a too slow penalty, like they were going to actually list that in the unofficial results. But the unofficial results now they've refreshed indicate an engine failure. So perhaps the car was just not turning enough RPMs or just being off the pace. List that as the reason out. Accidents pretty much eliminating just about everybody else in the bottom 10 with the exception of Jones in the 31st spot out, still finishing under power, multiple laps down. But yes, Ryan Blaney, a very popular victory, crazy finish. Looked like Ryan Newman was going to get that there at the end, which would have been a real feather in the cap for the Rocket Man there, given how much he struggled at the super speedways in Talladega in particular. Even though he's a 2008 Daytona 500 winner, as they brought up in the statistics there, I mean, Newman's had a long history of very spectacular accidents, not just getting collected in the wreck that started between Carl Edwards and Brad Keselowski in 2009, but returning in the fall race to have a nose-to-end flip and landing on another car there in the back of the field. So many other accidents. 2003, massive pile up at the beginning of the Aaron's 499, takes out basically 2/3 of the field. He's the one that starts it after he finished 43rd in the Daytona 500 earlier that year. Newman is a driver that is having, I would say, still one of his best seasons in several years. We'd seen him turn things around over at Stewart-Haas there in the number 39 car, and after all the struggles that the number 6 team had at Roush Fenway and starting to kind of get their legs back underneath them there with Matt Kenseth at the end of last season, it seems that that's really paid dividends this year with Newman and getting past into the next round, or at least into this round here. We'll see how well that second place finish helps out for him here as we look ahead to Kansas and then the next round of 8 after that. It's going to be a really interesting situation since the 2 drivers that transferred were Kyle Larson, who had a winless streak for a number of races, and then Ryan Blaney coming back from an issue where they had problems that knocked them out of the race at the end of it. I believe it was suspension issues there in the number 12. Coming back the very next week to pull off one of the closest finishes in Talladega history, a good old door-banging finish there that ultimately flattened the right side tires on the 12 car, but not until after he edged Newman for the finish line. So, it was a really entertaining race, fun thing on Monday. Thank you all for tuning in here on the disqualification show. I know we had to push it there from Sunday. We do have the trivia segment there, so we'll jump into that as well. But a really crazy race today. It seemed like a lot of drivers had a really good opportunity to kind of showcase their talents, which is kind of a strange thing to say given how crazy these races are. But a lot of guys that either needed good runs or were looking for good runs really had a chance to kind of get up there. We saw not only Ricky Stenhouse Jr. trying to audition perhaps for another Cup Series ride or whatever his plans will be next year. You talk about Matt DiBenedetto getting up there, being a really good pusher through a lot of the race there, especially on the inside line. Unfortunately, gets collected in that wreck at the end of it there, much like the accident that took him out of the Daytona 500 back in February. Obviously, he now has a ride in the 21 car, and the 21 car itself did really well. Paul Menard recovering from a neck injury, puts Matt Crafton in the car. Crafton gets a lap back, is end up in the middle of the lead pack, but unfortunately ends up in the wrong place at the wrong time. He ends up getting collected. David Reagan, who's retiring from full-time competition at the end of this year, he's up at the front of the pack there. Looked like he was going to clear that accident until DiBenedetto gets into him there. No fault of either driver. It's just a thing that kind of happens. And Brendan Gaughan, on the 15th anniversary of his best ever Cup Series finish, driving for Doug Bell years ago. Once again, just like he was at the Daytona 500 a couple years ago, I got a lot of grief for this a while back, pointing this out, that he was very close to having a good finish or perhaps even a win in that race. Getting eliminated in a wreck there about 8 laps short of the finish. The race ends up going into overtime and he falls further down in the rankings. This time again, he was actually leading for that split second before he ends up getting collected in the Busch brothers. A little bit of a mess there and going airborne down the backstretch. Glad that Gaughan is okay, and entertaining interview there, but certainly glad he's okay, and hopefully we'll see the Beard Motorsports team again next February for the Daytona 500, and then picking up right where they left off on this to have another good run out there. Yeah, great run for Stenhouse, but I got to say, relatively, drama-free for Stenhouse. I know that Stenhouse gets a lot of criticism for causing a lot of accidents. I made a comparison to Ernie Irvan in times past about him triggering multi-car accidents and pileups of that nature. He does seem to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. You think about that July race at Daytona last year, where he had collected a number of different drivers and managed to get away relatively unscathed until he ended up involved in an accident. This time around, he was throwing very crazy blocks, very similar to the kind of blocks that Chase Elliott is typically known for in recent years. But ultimately gets a great finish, not the win that he was hoping for at the end of the day, but a good clean race for him, I would have to say. I know that NBC was trying their hardest to try to pin that wreck between the Busch brothers there at the end on him. Maybe the air was just disturbed or whatever like that, but I wouldn't say anything intentional on the part of the 17. It was like, if anything, that Kurt just got in the back of Kyle, very similar to the situation with William Byron and Kurt that triggered the accident before it. So just a lot of crazy stuff happening at the end of the race, but a pretty crazy deal there. But we are now waiting for the inspection results. I'm not expecting anything different to happen there with the yellow line rule. Although it certainly was the big supporting actor during this entire weekend's festivities between both the Truck Series race and the Cup Series race. I have definitely been saying plenty enough about the yellow line rule over the years. I do think that right from the beginning, it was a well-meaning, perhaps, but completely misguided rule that was applied to NASCAR in the aftermath of Dale Earnhardt's death in 2001. Conveniently forgetting that the 2001 Daytona 500 only had 3 cautions. Yes, one of them was the large pileup on the back straightaway, but 3 accidents that actually were triggered in the middle to high groove of the track and not from cars going below the line. In fact, by allowing cars to go below the line, several accidents were avoided, including a 5-wide pass spawned by Todd Bodine during the 2001 Twin 125s. So by having a greater amount of distance for these cars to actually do some crazy moves, not only was it presenting a real exciting show for people to see, but it was also actually, I would argue, providing a much safer product out there by giving drivers a chance to not be boxed in. Nowadays, with the yellow line rule, that's exactly what has happened. You have situations where people can't get out of the way, or maybe they're forcing them below the line. And NASCAR is forced to be in a position now as being a judge of these situations. And sometimes the penalties are offsetting in such a way, like what we saw today in the race. Not to take away from Ryan Blaney, fantastic run for him. Certainly going to help him advance into the next round of playoffs, should we not hear anything else from technical inspection. However, since the incident between himself and Newman, much like the one between Sauter and Riley Herbst in the Truck Series race, really points to just how easily an officiating call can completely ruin the outcome of the race. This was definitely a situation where it would just work much better if they just got rid of the rule and just said, look, we tried this. It's not working the way that we intended. It is creating more accidents than it is saved. You look back to Brad Keselowski flipping Carl Edwards in the grandstands. That was a carbon copy of the situation that Regan Smith was presented with in the exact same race the previous fall. Regan Smith didn't hold his line. He went below the line to avoid an accident, keep from flipping Stewart into the fence. He said that at the time. And Regan Smith ends up getting penalized for making a move that avoided an accident that, yes, also helped him pull off the victory. But Tony Stewart ends up getting handed the victory. So Brad Keselowski gets the same message, comes back the next spring. He holds his line. Carl Edwards comes down. He holds his line again. Edwards ends up flipping himself into the catch fence, and some fans are injured. Is that the outcome NASCAR wants? Well, I wouldn't think so. And I think NASCAR would also not want their finish to end up being affected by the yellow line, much like certainly Saturday's race was, and hopefully not today's race was. Just that even has to be an issue is absurd. And the thing that really got me at the end of that broadcast there, what was Steve Letarte talking about intent? Where was this intent requirement brought in there? NASCAR never talked about, if somebody intended to block somebody below the line, or if somebody intended to go below the line. It's like the question was black or white. Did they go below the line, or did they block somebody below the line? It should be very much clear. We're not going into It's not a mens rea situation here. We're not splitting this all the way down to, something that's like football rules here at this point. It's absolutely absurd. I think we've now bolted on enough extremities to the yellow line rule to know that the simplest solution now is to just get rid of the rule. Just forget it, and just admit that again it was a well-meaning but completely misguided effort to improve safety on super speedways that has completely failed. And it's about time to just, any rule that prevents racing, I think is something that NASCAR should just get rid of. Again, I mean, there's been rules about that with the yellow line, about tandem drafting in the lower divisions, about anything like that. About the crash clock is the same thing, about being able to still keep racing even though your car has a lot of damage. Any of those rules, I think, are the reason that a lot of people get frustrated with the sport sometimes. And, I don't know how much the sport wants to pay attention to that or not, but I think we're well past that point now that things need to change up on that. So this is, yeah, I don't know. I mean, putting rumble strips down there, I see that comment there, Steven. Yeah, I mean, that's another option you could try. I mean, but I just think, again, I think that would be creating more of a danger than anything else. Because you think about it, if you have a whole inside line, one guy dips down there, the rumble strips just cause him to either lose control of the car or he loses a little bit of speed. Somebody runs in the back of him, it causes accidents. I think any kind of rule that causes accidents is something like that. And again, this is the thing that's easy to be forgotten. And actually, I'm going to touch on this in the next video that I'm working on about the 2000 NASCAR season, because again, the yellow line rule was very much a consequence of a lot of things that were going on at that time period. Really, just check out, if you ever watch, if you leave out what happened with Dale Earnhardt, and of course, that's a big thing to leave out. I mean, it's impossible to. The race itself, the 2001 Daytona 500, was a competitive and very clean race. And even the accident that ended up claiming Earnhardt's life happened in the middle groove. It happened because he was blocking in the middle of this wreck. And again, I'm not making light of it. I'm just pointing out that the yellow line would not have changed the outcome of that particular accident, even in that case. If anything, Sterling Marlin would have held his line, knowing that he can't go below the yellow line or get some kind of penalty, and then you have the exact same outcome. That's what I've never understood about the yellow line rule right from its inception. And again, much like a lot of things that were done in the NASCAR in the 2000 season, perhaps NASCAR felt that they had to do a really quick decision, like a stopgap measure, until they came up with a more permanent solution down the line. Well, once you come up with something better, once you mandate the Hans device, once you mandate safer barriers, once you create the car tomorrow, once you do all these things, then you get rid of the stuff that you had before. That's the thing that NASCAR seems to not want to do. They seem to want to just add stuff to what they've already had rather than just undo anything. You think that would be the easier solution, but it's a ridiculous situation. Yeah, and again, yeah, I've heard Mark Martin make the same suggestion you're making, Nate, that going below the line, making it legal on the last lap. Well, okay, somebody's going to try to start blocking a lot at the end there and do it with 2 laps to go or something. Did the person do it before the white flag? Did he do it before he got to the stripe? Again, it's simpler to just allow for it. Again, I would really encourage you to just rewatch the Twin 125s. Well, really, I mean, the Blood Shootout to a lesser degree, but certainly the 125s and certainly the 500 in 2001, and look at how clean the racing is. Yes, there are accidents along the way, but with the with 2 very big exceptions of the accidents, both at the end of the race and the one that flipped Tony Stewart, it was a very clean race, a very competitive race, and it's as much commentary on the aero package as it is on not having the yellow line rule at the time. You put much safer cars out there with the safer barriers, with all the technical advancements that there is. A lot of people say NASCAR is too safe. I think that's ridiculous. I think favoring it on being too safe is the way to go at the end of the day. These guys are the ones putting their lives on the line. The drivers, the pit crew members, and everybody else that goes out there and competes. That's fine. The yellow line rule doesn't do that, though, and it's for that safety reason that they got to get rid of the yellow line rule, because it's gotten to a point where it is unsafe, it's confusing, it's frustrating, and it completely messes up outcomes of the races. Now, with that said, this weekend's races both produced some very exciting finishes and some very unusual moments along the way. So that was that was a different deal there. So yeah, I mean, got off on a full tangent there, but I got to front load with this right on because I don't know what the heck Steve Letarte was talking about with intent. I mean, if NASCAR, it's one thing if NASCAR is making up these rules on the spot. I don't need the broadcasters to go up there and start making up rules too and start muddying the waters even more. That's not going to help anything. I mean, you could argue that it's the same thing that you hear back in 2008 during the broadcast call of Regan Smith's win that was taken away from him at Talladega. And if you listen to that, there's actually a conflict between Andy Petrie and Dale Jarrett about whether or not that pass was legal because it was on the last lap. And Jarrett saying that no, if the rule is the rule, you can't do it on the last lap. And Petrie saying, well, look, he crossed the stripe. He still got the checkered flag. Shouldn't that count? And obviously that very much came to blows with what happened in Saturday during the Truck Series race. So let's get into those results as well. Truck Series race, very exciting situation for Spencer Boyd, a driver who obviously, despite being the last place finisher of the Sunday race, had the highest of highs and lowest of lows during the weekend there. But himself getting that new ride over at Young's Motorsports after being bumped back down from the Xfinity Series last year, had a really difficult time with Bobby Daughter's team, which was unfortunate. He actually had a last place finish in the spring Talladega race last year when he had a very serious accident on the back straightaway. Luckily, he was okay from that. Getting collected in an accident from there. He gets into the Young's Motorsports truck. Randy Young's team has completely rebuilt their organization between him, Tyler Dipple in the number 02 car, or number 02 truck. Gus Dean from the ARCA series is number 12, just a completely new look effort to them. And seeing Austin Hill, their former driver, do well now with Vittori's team, I think has been a feather in their cap as well about how well they've developed talent along the way. Boyd getting a top 5 finish back at the Daytona race to open the season was a good start for him. You think back to the accident that he had with Natalie Decker a while back and flipping his hat off, that little incident there. We had another accident at the backstretch of Texas. It's been been a rough season still for him here in the Truck Series, but he's tried to get his feet back under him. Talladega has been a race that was definitely an opportunity to get another good finish like he had back at Daytona. I don't know whether he ran the same truck from Daytona or not. With a lot of these Truck Series teams, from NASCAR Man's video on Freak, you'll see a lot of people run the same truck year after year because they only have to run it twice a year versus all the plate races that Cup teams have to run in comparison. But regardless, a great finish for him. Coming down to the end of the race, Johnny Sauter throws the block on Riley Herbst coming down the apron, puts both of them below the yellow line. Meanwhile, Spencer Boyd is gaining on the outside line. Sauter comes back up to block him a little bit. Sauter edges Boyd at the finish line, but unfortunately, right after Sauter does his victory donuts and hops out of the truck with his radio disconnected, he then sees that down on pit road, there's a lot of celebration around the 20 truck because Spencer Boyd has been now given the victory. Now, we don't want officials taking away wins. Here on the disqualification show, we see enough of that already. We've seen people that finished further back in the field get eliminated already. You think about Eric Jones ending the streak of no Cup Series disqualifications back to 1992, ending the top 4 run for Joe Gibbs Racing in Richmond. But Boyd's situation being the latest in a series of events very similar to Sears Point in 1991, where Davey Allison and Ricky Rudd came to blows at the end of it. And Allison was ended up being flagged the winner, with Rudd being black flagged. Ultimately, it was a 5-second penalty, crediting Rudd with second place and taking a win away out of his hands on that. It's the kind of situation that we don't want to see, really. We do want to see first-time winners. We do want to see exciting finishes. But I think it's the yellow line rule has definitely outlived its usefulness. And we saw that, an even clearer case of that on Saturday. It was a great job by Sauter to throw that block. He was really working as many of the lanes as he could. And that lane is available. You have safer barriers and safer equipment and head and neck restraints and everything like that. Just give it a try and just see what it looks like. I think if NASCAR was at least open to seeing what that would look like, maybe do it at the Daytona 500 next year. And if they're not happy with it, maybe institute it again afterwards. I think they would be surprised at the results. Because at the end of the day, you have all these wrecks happening all the time. But let's face it, when it was getting down to about 8 laps to go and they were 3 wide and 4 deep in this Cup race today, and you had Brendan Gaughan up there and Matt DiBenedetto up there, wouldn't you have rather just seen that race finish under green and just let everybody kind of fan out as far as they could and actually make these crazy moves. I mean, I would have certainly liked that rather than narrowing everything down and making sure that everybody runs over each other and we get wreck after wreck after wreck piling up the field. And then suddenly the end of the field is just, whoever's left and a few battered cars across the line. It's not manageable for these teams anymore. I mean, if we keep hearing about sponsorship being an issue and charters and everything like that, they don't need any help making things even more expensive than they could be. So that's where things just really need to change on all of that. But again, not to take away from Spencer Boyd, and certainly in spite of the last place finish today in the Cup Series article, I'm sure he's not going to be too happy to have his name both as a LASCAR headline as well as a LASCAR subtitle there in the Truck Series article, where of course we celebrate both. We recognize both the last place finisher and we celebrate when teams that are drivers at the back of the field do well. You see the Boyd's article is already, the Truck Series article rather, on Mason Massey has already been posted, with Spencer Boyd being a feature in that article as well. The other big thing that, of course, happened in the Truck Series race was the situation at the back of the field involving Jennifer Jo Cobb. Later information that was provided afterwards was apparently that a tire sponsor for the number 10 team had fallen through, so they didn't have any tires in the pit stall for the start of the race, which is why Jennifer was so frustrated. And you saw the uncensored comments there in the Twitter feed that when Cobb spun in the fluid that came out of Mason Massey's truck there during the early laps, that Cobb was so frustrated that she flat spotted her only tires because they were done. They had to just sit there. You can't just go out there and run flat spotted tires at Talladega. It's just not going to work. And you're not, and for her in particular, that is her only super speedway truck. I know I had talked to her about that already back at Mosport. So she can't afford to lose that truck, and then she's got to get that ready for Daytona this next February. So she was very frustrated in that situation there, sitting on pit road for a long time. Very similar to the Xfinity teams that couldn't afford rain tires back at Watkins Glen last year, that also had to sit on pit road until the rain let up and then come back out multiple laps down in the race. Cobb ended up sitting there for a very long time during the time that NASCAR was finally clearing up the stage rye out on the track, that they didn't notice any of the fluid coming out of the 33 truck or didn't regard it seriously enough, and didn't throw a caution for Cobb spinning out. Only threw the caution when Harrison Burton spun out directly in front of them on the front straightaway, which may or may not have had anything to do with the fluid that came out of the number 33. And that was the reason for the very long red flag that took place during the opening stages of that race. But Jennifer Jo Cobb, ultimately, the story was reported, I believe, by Chris Knight, that Cobb went behind the wall to get another set of tires. The team couldn't find their credit card to pay for the tires. This is an unfortunate situation that I've seen as well over at Mosport, when the team didn't have money to get their toll, to pay the toll to get back into the States, leaving the track. A very similar situation where they just didn't have money to get the new tires. Apparently, according to Chris Knight, that added to the story there, that a couple of fans on Talladega Boulevard ponied up, I believe it was more than $2,000 for a full set of tires, which explained the radio communication that wasn't clear on at the time, because they had changed two tires at first and they were waiting for another set of tires. I guess they got one from one guy and one pair from another person. And that was how that worked out, because I was hearing them just change one side tire. So I was like, wait a minute, they flat spotted all four. What good's two tires going to do? But that must have been the situation there. They had mounted these other tires earlier. The poor tire runner was getting so exhausted that at one point during the radio, they actually had to tell him to stop and catch his breath and calm down and get his feet back under him there again. It was definitely a busy situation, but it ultimately paid off for Cobb, who, despite finishing almost 10 laps down at the end of the race there, climbed out of the bottom five and finished in 27th position, ahead of both Massey and other drivers at the back of the field. Tyler Dipple, John Hunter Nemechek, Austin Wayne Self, and Angela Ruck, all filling in the bottom five positions there at the end of the race. So good on those fans out there. Hopefully, I'd be very interested to see if there's more stories about that coming up there. I would have loved to have been down there at the garage area and see that playing out. This is why we try to do as much trackside coverage as we can, because I'll tell you what, something like that happens, I know exactly where I would be standing there, waiting for all that to be playing out there, and bring that to you guys. And again, we are still planning on doing Phoenix coming up next month, just a couple weeks more until that. We're going to be heading out there and looking to cover the action there. Nothing confirmed yet on the credentials side there, but we're hoping to get that reeled in and get that all set up for you guys. And we're going to get the magnet ordered very soon as well. The names of our Patreon members and get those on there and anybody else who's joining up along the way. So I think we've thoroughly covered a lot between the Cup Series and the Truck Series race. Thank you again for the birthday wishes for everybody on the Twitter account there too. The Spencer Boyd finish ended up happening on that day, so that was a lot of ended up being a rather fun situation to witness here during the broadcast. So we had kind of a crazy sequence of events during that whole deal. Norm Benning with a great run in that truck race too, an 18th place finish. We're covering Brian Dozit with Jim Rosenblum's team. NASCAR man pointed this out on social media during the race that was the first lap ever led by Jim Rosenblum's team in the years since 1983 that they've been competing in NASCAR's top 3 series. Rosenblum's team, you may know, was actually originally involved in Linro Motorsports, which was a team that fielded Giacomo's car in the late 1980s. I was unfortunately involved in that accident with Bobby Allison, the 1988 race at Pocono that ultimately ended Bobby Allison's career. But Rosenblum has continued to field cars most often on the super speedways as well as Charlotte here and there. Ryan Ellis has driven for them before. He posted a picture earlier today of his truck getting straddled there on the apron and the banking, very similar to what Clint Boyer dealt with today in the Cup race. But an interesting situation there. Let's see. Tyler Ankrum with a good finish there. He ends up right in the knot of playoff drivers that are right up there. Riley Herbst ended up dropping into the 3rd spot there after getting pushed below the yellow line by Johnny Sauter there at the finish. Let's see. Unfortunate deal for Ross Chastain, but he's certainly going to be one to watch to the next round at Martinsville in a couple of weeks when they return to action. We're going to have just the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series this week. We're already getting a head start on the weekend preview article for that, so look forward to that as well. There we go. Yes, Brian Dowsett is driving for the FDNY racing team, but that is a team still owned by Jim Rosenblum. Rosenblum's team has had a number of different names over the years, but that was a different deal with that. Yeah, the FDNY, as you can imagine, was brought about more after the 9/11 attacks there, especially with Rosenblum having ties up to the Northeast. I imagine he had ties there in Pennsylvania and New York, and was doing something with that. So there we go. You were born on the 11th, Stephen? Excellent. Right on, man. Happy belated birthday to you, too. Yeah, I was born in 82. I didn't put that on my Twitter account, but yeah, so almost up to my 40s now. But not quite there yet. Yeah, Rosenblum is a figure that doesn't get talked about too much. I think there's a couple articles on him from a few years ago, but I haven't met him personally. The only truck race I've attended in person was the one at Phoenix last year, and they weren't entered in that one. But it's definitely an interesting story that's ongoing. And again, only been active in the series since 1983. That's a good long time. Running a part-time operation. Much like having a truck like Freak that you can run just twice a year, you have a team that just runs 2 or 3 races a year and just kind of spend the rest of the time getting it going, much like Brennan Gaughan's deal with the Beard team now. You never know what they can do. I mean, again, Gaughan being up front there as well for just the briefest of moments there before the accident. Cup Series article for Spencer Boyd will be posted later tonight. We're going to get that thing up there, and we'll give you the full breakdown on that, as well as the bottom 5 filled up unofficially by Kyle Larson, Jimmy Johnson, Alex Bowman, and Joey Gase. Gase involved in one of those last accidents there, along with Austin Terrio. And a lot of hard hits there, but it looked like a lot of people, looks like everybody's okay, at least from the last reports that I've heard. We're going to check out here. Let's see. I want to get the Pockris page pulled up. And we'll definitely talk a lot about videos because I'm seeing some questions here in the chat about that already. Let's see. We're ready. Yeah, Brendan's flip was pretty crazy in there for sure. Yeah, the Daytona is definitely on my list, Corey, for sure. Daytona in February would be really good in particular. I'm still kind of mapping out how to do that. Definitely seeing the season opener with the new paint schemes, the new teams. It looks like they have a really nice garage there, much like what Phoenix and now Talladega has done. Talladega, I'm really excited about the infield thing there. I think they did a fantastic job with that. Not to go all Rutledge Wood on here, but that infield building there with the garages and the wings and everything, and having a nice food court with lots of seating, like that's a brilliant move. Those are the kind of things that a lot of tracks need to do. Have real easy access to food, have plenty of seating, shade in particular, and access as best as you can to the garage area. Even just standing up to the rail and seeing them work on the cars, I would have loved that years ago. Well worth the price of admission on that. I know Phoenix did a great job with that, and looking forward to checking that out again for sure. Yeah, still waiting to see if Ross Chastain can get back into it. I have faith in him in Martinsville since he did a good run in there. A good run for him. Let's see. Yeah, you'll see that I'm wearing my Justin Haley shirt here. Just got that in the mail, actually just the other day. Figured it would be timely for this weekend at Talladega. I didn't think the yellow line would come quite as well into the forefront as it turned out to be, but I guess it ended up being pretty timely for that. I ordered this back in July, but it came in just last Friday. So they definitely have them in stock. So if you're definitely interested in picking one up, definitely check out the Spire Motorsports page and check that out. Let's see. Just browsing through the other comments here and try to catch up with everybody on this. I know I had a question that popped up earlier about the Jerry Nadeau video. Again, very pleased with how that's been doing. Looks like it's been getting a lot more comments here lately, so I'm very happy about that. And yes, Melanie Whitfield, who is the NASCAR, who is the fan club director, I mentioned her in the video, so I hope she doesn't mind me mentioning her on here. She did contact me not long after the video was posted, I believe last Monday. And she really enjoyed the video, said that it brought back a lot of good memories for her working as a fan club director for the Jerry Nadeau fan club. She immediately then sent it to Jerry herself, and Jerry emailed me on, I believe, Tuesday afternoon, and that was when I made that tweet on there that Jerry had got back to me, and he did. He was very happy with the video there, but he says there is much more to the story than, of course, what was talked about in there. I'm currently in the process of trying to set up another interview or something like that coming up. I don't have anything firmly set on that yet, but Jerry was very friendly in his communications there, so that was definitely very exciting. I haven't spoken to him in any way since 2005 in that autograph session that I mentioned in the video there, and that was definitely really a thrill. It's good to know that he's doing well. He was a lot of fun to watch back then, and I think that video came across. I hope that came across pretty well in the video. I know the music's a little bit over the top there at some parts. I know we got some complaints about that in the comments, but I'm sure you can forgive that from the nature of the angle that we're going there for with the video. The next video that I'm working on actually is a good transition to the next one I'm working on. I'm not sure how music dependent that's going to be because it's going to be really a delicate balance on that. As posted on my YouTube channel this past week, there is another video that is in the works. I actually was able to work a lot more on the script yesterday after the rain postponement, which is called 3 Before February. And that is going to be a focus on the 2000 NASCAR season, and specifically the 3 tragedies of Adam Petty, Kenny Irwin Jr., and Tony Roper, who each lost their lives in similar accidents during that season. My plan with this video is to get it done sometime before the end of this year. I don't have a firm date set for it at the moment, but this is a video that's going to be on my channel. This is different. This is separate apart from the ones I'm working on with NASCAR Man. We do have some more stuff that we're working on with that, but I'll leave it to him to announce the projects that we're working on that direction. But this one on my channel is going to be produced hopefully pretty soon. I'm already kind of getting, I'm getting at a pretty good point with the script there. I just want to get a little bit more of the research done to kind of detail a lot of that as it happened there, and get a full detail there. But and again, the yellow line rule kind of reminds me a lot of that time period and just the uncertainty of back then. And I think it's an aspect of NASCAR history that's not talked about that much, especially after what happened to Dale Earnhardt. There's a time now where it almost feels that Dale Earnhardt was almost the only fatality in NASCAR's history, or the only time where NASCAR's safety was really a major issue. But of course, that's not true. I mean, there's been years and decades of situations with other drivers and other teams where technology has had to have been invented on the fly, whether it be the window net or the fuel cell or the inner liner on the tires or anything like that. And not just these things being invented, but these things being mandated and adopted by the sanctioning body. There's a lot that's going to be covered in that video, and talked about that in the chronology there. I've had some sources that I've been able to work on here the last couple of weeks, and the intro actually came together very quickly, which is why I was able to post it so soon after the Jerry Nadeau video. But I want to make sure I got that up there, so I got kind of a foothold on the project and get that going. There's going to be multiple phases in there, and a lot of interesting information that some of which were really eye-opening to me that I'd forgotten over the years. But there's a lot of great databases online from that time period, a lot of great articles and everything to really kind of understand that time period and really try to understand why things happened the way they did, and really who these drivers were as well. Obviously Adam Petty you hear a lot more about, thanks to, of course, the Victory Junction Gang Camp and all the great work that they've done, the throwback scheme that Bubba Wallace did back at Darlington just this year. The thing with Adam is that whole season just began with him. It was an ongoing saga of a number of things that happened, and a number of situations that could have very easily changed the sport even more than we have seen since then. And a lot of comparisons to other events that happened in the time there too. Corey LaJoy fan, you mentioned Blaze Alexander. Yes, he's going to be mentioned there in the video as well, even though that was in the ARCA series. Of course, now NASCAR has acquired ARCA. Yeah, he's going to be mentioned in there as well. That all ties into that same time period as well. About 2000 to 2001 is going to be kind of the time. Well, actually, late '99 into 2001 is kind of the time period that we're going to be covering in that video. I don't know how, in terms of length, the video is going to be, but something in that time period there. So that'll be one thing to look at. And yes, yeah, the Fall Charlotte race in 2001 was Alexander. That's going to be more or less towards the end of the video there in that time period. I know there was Eric Martin's accident in ARCA after that and other things, but I want to kind of narrow the scope of the video a little bit to make sure that it fits with the theme of what I'm going for there. Let's see. I'm going to go back into this. We'll do the trivia segment here pretty soon, but let me jump in here and see, does anybody have any other questions or anything else, anything glaring that we haven't covered from this weekend? Let's see. Looking over everything else here in the comments. Great run for Brian Doza. We talked about that. Let's see here. Okay. There's the comments back when we talk about the yellow line rule there. Yeah, I mean, again, really unfortunate situation for Spencer Boyd today. It seemed like they just really had a problem with getting some speed in the car right from the start. An unfortunate situation there for the 52 team. I know Rick Ware's team, unfortunately, is now far and away the leader in the LASCAR Owners Series Championship, but that's different. That's a different situation entirely. But they've had a number of different drivers. Boyd already with 2 last place finishes, and I believe his first 3 or 4 Cup Series starts. But you have to walk before you can run in this sport. Excuse me. All right. Yeah, if I didn't post the Truck Series article already, which I did post it the other day, I would probably merge it or try to kind of combine it some other way, or take the Truck Series portion out and put that into the Cup article. What I'll probably do is I'll just refer back to the Truck article with some links and do that. But I'm still kind of working on the format for that. But we'll get that posted tonight with updated statistics on everything and all that. How is it? I mean, again, we talk about the 2000 season. We talk about Earnhardt. Of course, we have to talk about bringing Dale Earnhardt's car back out of the Richard Childress Museum for those ceremonial laps on Sunday. That was definitely a thrill for sure. As much as I think that the whole Earnhardt thing has been talked about even more than it's deserved to be, of course, with how significant that it was. That was definitely, a huge moment. I will say, however, that I was a little disappointed in the NBC broadcast to cut away then right away before Childress opened the car up and went full speed down the backstretch just to talk to Chase Elliott, and Elliott himself being distracted even then by Earnhardt running the car. There has to be a little bit of awareness, I would say, in the broadcast here. I think that, again, the drum that I've been beating so much, especially these last couple of months, is just how detached this broadcast group seems to be from what they're actually looking at. And like cutting away when Brad Keselowski's car refires there, getting pushed before the start of the race today. I mean, whoa, hang on, just hold the shot for a little longer. You know what you're doing. I don't know. It's just more of the same that way. But yeah, it was. Oh, really? See, I didn't know that, Andrew. They reskinned that car to be his backup in the 2001 Daytona 500. I didn't know that. I didn't even think about that. But that would make sense. That would make sense. So that they had the tire mark taken off the side, and of course, nobody would have even thought that something was going to happen on that. Well, I don't think they knew that Childress. I mean, I thought Steve or somebody in the booth said, "Oh, Childress said he's going to try to open it up and go full speed back there." It's like, what? Like, I thought somebody said that. Maybe I read it on social media instead, but I thought for sure somebody said that. I'll have to rewatch the broadcast there to check that for sure. But I don't think that was just in my head at the start of that. Yeah. All right. Well, tell you what. Well, we are coming up on. I think we're coming on just about a good portion into this. Let's check the timer there. Okay, we are more than an hour into the wait for inspection. So we're going to get into the trivia segment. One thing I'm going to do right quick, though, is I'm going to make sure the air conditioning is on because it is quite stuffy in here. So I apologize for just a moment. You're going to see me stand up and walk to the back of the room. So let me do that right quick. Is it on? I think it's on. Okay, yeah, looks like it's on. Let's try that. Okay, it looks like it's on. I think it's just me. Okay. Back in action again. All right, so let's jump into this here. And yeah, exactly. The Kevin Smith look, exactly. I got the shorts with the plaid here. Very comfortable plaid shirt though. I got this for my birthday. It's very cozy. So I'm a big fan of the Duluth Trading stuff there. It's definitely designed for me for sure. And that's gonna be a really good deal. Okay, let me keep this. I'll keep the timer out here. I'll set that there, and we'll get this start going. Okay. All right, let me see this here. We're going in the opposite direction. The way we did it before, the screen is where I'm looking right now. We had that, but we're gonna try this way and do the old school vlogger look. But we'll start the Trivial Pursuit. There it is. Trivial Pursuit trivia segment here. So let's start again here and see which subject you want to do. We're going. This again has different topics. We'll go from the start here, and we'll just have by a vote. Vote in the comments there which subject you want to see. So again, the subjects are, think of it like Jeopardy headings here. Subjects are NASCAR, pits, teams, tracks, drivers, and the wild card. Which topic do you guys want to start off with here? Whoever gets the most votes here, we're going to go ahead and start with that. So we're going to start with NASCAR, pits, teams, tracks, drivers, and the wild card. And as we get the votes start coming in on that, I just want to take a moment again to thank our Patreon members here. Let me list them off by name as we get this here. Well, come on, you gonna let me get the names? How about we get the names? Let's get that. I'd like to do this a little more streamlined here. So starting from the top here, Andrew Hayes, Blaze Zebratar, Brother Flounder, Calvin Ingelston, Dan Bear, Gail Delaney, Jeff Brown, Justin Brookover, Luis Torres, Matthew Miller, NASCARnumbersite.org, Spencer Stillwell, Sam Laughlin, and Worthless Pieces of F Incorporated. Thank you so much for all your support. We have bonus content there in the Patreon, patreon.com/LascarOnBrock. And we have get advance access to any of the videos that I post there, including the videos I do with NASCAR Man, graphics, other commentary, behind the scenes stuff that I do over at LasCar headquarters. New information on my next book that I'm working on is going to be posted there when I'm ready to announce that. Everything is in there. So join it for as little as $1 and get your name on the magnet that we're going to put on the door for our car for the next trip at Phoenix. And everybody that has their name on the door will be entered in a drawing to win that. And we'll send that out to you. And we'll do that. So let's take a look at the picks here we have for the categories. Drivers, team, wild card. Okay, we're all over the place. Let's see. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for tracks. Looks like tracks is pretty much the leader here. So let's go ahead and start with tracks. I don't think we've done that yet, so that would be a good one. Let's go do tracks. Okay, here we go. First question for tracks. What track has railroad trains passing above turns 3 and 4? What track has railroad trains, that's the way it phrases, railroad trains passing above turns 3 and 4? We have 1 vote for Dover. We have 2 for Martinsville. There is no multiple choice on this for those of you who are new to the group. It is simple question and answer. And we just do this for fun while we wait for the timer here to run out and get some more information on inspection results. What track has railroad trains passing above turns 3 and 4? We have votes for Martinsville. We have 1 for Dover. We have some other ones here. The answer is Martinsville, indeed. That one actually threw me because I was thinking it's on the backstretch. It's not really in turns 3 and 4 so much. But I guess that's still true. So I guess I can still pass within view of turns 3 and 4. All right, next question. Who sold Bruton Smith the land Texas Motor Speedway was built on? Ooh, here we go. Texas Motor Speedway coming up in just a couple weeks. Here's a good bit of trivia for that event. Who sold Bruton Smith the land Texas Motor Speedway was built on? Who? Which person? Got to name a person. Now, this could be anybody. I really don't know this one. I'm not fooling. This is one I'm not sure of. Who sold Bruton Smith the land Texas Motor Speedway was built on? Okay, got some interesting guesses so far. George Bush, George H.W. Bush, Ross Perot. Any other guesses on this? It's literally wide open. Don't look it up. Don't wait to post it either. I'm going to start thinking you're Googling it at this point. Jerry Jones. These are good picks. These are all perfectly good picks. We're going to do the vote here in just a second here. Are you going to IndyCar there next year? Excellent. American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. Okay, let's find out. The answer is Ross Perot. How about that, Maserati? You are, I swear, you must be like a ringer in here or something, because it seems like you nail these every time. Ross Perot, how about that? Yeah, I would not have guessed that. Can you see that all right? There you go. Now you can see it. Yeah, just so you can believe it. By the way, the follow-up for our from our Dover show, we had the question about Chocolate Myers collecting Victrolas, the old records, like the RCA dog record players. Haven't heard anything new on that yet, but we did forward it up to Mr. Myers. So we'll see if we cross paths again. I'll definitely make sure that we ask that. We'll find that out. So yeah, how about that? All righty. Next question. This is the best way here. Okay, here we go. What 500-lap race at Bristol ran without a caution in 1971? Okay, I don't know which detail it's asking for. What 500-lap race at Bristol ran without a caution in 1971? I'm guessing that it means it's asking for the race name, because it's already telling us it's at Bristol. It's already telling us it's a 500-lap race. And it's not asking for the race winner, which is interesting. What 500-lap race at Bristol ran without a caution in 1971? So I guess, like, yeah, the race name. I mean, you could put any guess. I mean, this isn't even a wild card question. So, Volunteer 500 sounds right. So the panel sweatshirts one, that was Martinsville, wasn't it? It was something like that. All right, let's just jump to the answer here. Volunteer 500. There you go. You guys got it. The question wasn't worded very well. It's more of an issue. We'll get the Ricky Rudd car back next week. We'll do that for our Kansas show and jump into that, because that was some crazy questions too. All right, what year in the 50s was Martinsville's dirt track paved? What year in the 50s was Martinsville's dirt track paved? What year in the 50s was Martinsville's dirt track paved? We have guests for 55, 53, 57, 55, 56, 55. We are all over the board. 53, 56. All right. Any other guesses here? We're going to hit the button here very shortly. And you can stop going that way. This way is where the light is. Okay. The answer is 1955. There we go. 55. Beast of Metal, you got it. Doritos and Mountain Dew. There you go. Jesse Henry, you got it right off the bat. All righty. All right, more track questions. Let's get some more of these here. What 17-year-old won the 1998 pole at Nashville in only his second Busch Series start? What 17-year-old driver, I'm adding a word here to make it easier, what 17-year-old driver won the 1998 pole at Nashville in only his second Busch Series start? A 17-year-old, 1998 at Nashville, only his second Busch Series start. We have 3 votes for Casey Atwood, 4, 5, 6, 7 votes for Casey Atwood. Buckshot Jones? Okay, the answer is indeed our good friend Casey Atwood. Correct. Field gets the point. All right. National Fairgrounds still in the news. Dale Jr. is still trying to get it back on the Cup calendar. We'll see. All right. What track is actually located within the town limits of Hamlet, North Carolina? What track is actually located within the town limits of Hamlet, North Carolina? Which track is in Hamlet, North Carolina? North Wilkesboro, Rockingham. Rockingham, we have any other guesses here? Hamlet, North Carolina is home to which track? I'll reword it here again. Which track is actually located in Hamlet, North Carolina? Hickory, Rockingham, Wilkesboro, all good guesses, all good guesses. And the answer is Rockingham. There you go. There we go. Several votes for that. Henry, White, Myers, Hayes. What I may do along the way, maybe if this really starts taking off, maybe I'm going to appoint like a mod or something in here to keep track of the score for the points here. And then we'll just have somebody do that. That would be easier than me doing it because I'm just going to mess it up. But I might do that further along the way. We'll see how that goes. We're kind of playing it by ear. I kind of like it just having to be just for fun because I think that's where it just kind of fits in there anyway. But we'll see how that goes. Oh, okay, let's get to the next question here. Let's see. What Tennessean won the 1960 inaugural World 600 at Charlotte? What Tennessean won the 1960 inaugural World 600 at Charlotte? What driver from Tennessee won the 1960 inaugural World 600 at Charlotte? Jolie Johnson, Jolie Johnson. Pretty sure you guys got the point there. Indeed, the answer is Jolie Johnson. There you go. Okay. First story is not a bad guess. It's always a good one, too. Fireball Roberts, too. All right, here we go. What state had a total of 64 concrete, dirt, oval, drag, or road courses by 1998? What state had a total of 64 concrete, dirt, oval, drag, or road courses, by 1998? Which state in the United States had a total of 64 concrete, dirt, oval, drag, or road courses by 1998? Wisconsin, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas. Okay, here is a stumper now. California. We're all over the place. Concrete, dirt, oval, drag, or road courses by 1998. Virginia, Florida. Okay, yeah, we've got everything here. Okay, here we go. This is going to be a fun one. All right, answer coming right up. The answer is Texas. Texas is the answer. There you go. Jesse Henry, you got it. Maserati 9 again. You got it. All right. How about that? I was starting to think California, but I guess it's not big enough out here. All right. What was once known as, quote, the Labor Day race? This might be, okay, is this tricky or not? What was once known as the Labor Day race? Hey there, Headball. What was once known as the Labor Day race? 7500, 7500 seems to be the obvious answer, but let's see. The answer is indeed the Saturn 500. I was thinking maybe this would be like a NASCAR man statistic, and it turned out it was another race held on Labor Day before 1950 or something. But that is obviously not the case here. Okay. Where did Jeff Gordon win his first road? Wait. Where did Jeff Gordon win his first road race? Okay, that's a full question. Where did Jeff Gordon win his first road race? Watkins Glen, Sonoma, Sears Point, Watkins Glen, Sears Point. All righty. Jeff Gordon won his first road race. How old is this Trivial Pursuit game? This is about 19. I got this in 2001. I think at the time, the copyright is 98. Yes, it is 98. Same copyright as the Ricky Rudd car we do for the other trivia questions. Okay, the answer to the question is Watkins Glen. There you go. I was almost thinking it was going to be a trick question. It was going to be Suzuka Circuit Land or something, but I guess it was just Rusty Wallace and Mike Skinner that won that. So, all right. Tracks. Here we go. Here's a good one. What is the HA short for in Humpy Wheeler's name? What is the HA short for in Humpy Wheeler's name? HA. What does it stand for in Humpy Wheeler's name? The famous gentleman over at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Yeah. Harrington Albert, Herbert Allen. Yeah, just throw it out there. Try to pick an HA initial and try to see what that means. Henry Adam. There we go. Any other guesses on there? HA. You always hear about a Humpy, HA Humpy Wheeler is the full name. Harlan Arthur, Howard Augustine, Hendrick Allen, Harold Arnold. The answer is Howard Augustine. There you go. Bad booking. You got it, man. Oh, that was going to be the long shot there, but honestly. But yeah, Howard Augustine. Howard Augustine, the full name of Humpy Wheeler. All righty. On to the next track question. Who won the first caution-free Mason-Dixon 500 in 1971? Who won the first caution-free Mason-Dixon 500 in 1971? Now, this is a two-pronged question here, you see. You have to figure out which track had the Mason-Dixon 500, and then from there, you have to think about who won the first caution-free race there in 1971. It does not give additional information. Okay, we have Richard Petty for multiple votes. We have Benny Parsons, David Pearson, Cale Yarborough. Who won the first caution-free Mason-Dixon 500 in 1971? You don't have to guess the track. I just figured you need to know the track to kind of guess the answer. But you could stay the track if you want. Who won the first caution-free Mason-Dixon 500 in 1971? All righty, the answer is Bobby Allison. There you go. Bad bookie. You changed your answer at the time. Jesse Henry, yep. Bobby Allison there is the winner. Very interesting. You think it would be something the King would do, but no, Bobby Allison there. I believe that would be Dover, if I'm not mistaken. It should be at the time. All right, next track question. What caused the 1980 Carolina 500 at Rockingham to be postponed for a week? What caused the 1980 Carolina 500 at Rockingham to be postponed for a week? What was the reason that the race was postponed for a week? 1980 Carolina 500 at Rockingham. We have guesses for snow. We have rain, snow, tire issues, hurricane, ripping tarmac. These are all good guesses. Power outage, also a good guess. Here in California, we certainly empathize with that. Let's see. Snow, the answer. Tsunami, I see. Okay, lots of guesses. The answer is snow. There we go. Snow indeed. Delayed the 1980 Carolina 500 for a week. Tsunami, you never know. You never know. Always guesses here. History is the most fascinating aspects of the parts you don't have to make up. So it's always fun to guess. All righty, next track question. Who won the Winston Select at Charlotte Motor Speedway in 1996? Who won the Winston Select at Charlotte Motor Speedway in 1996? The winner, the Winston Select at Charlotte Motor Speedway in 1996. Different names they always give these things. Michael Waltrip, Mike Skinner. No, I changed my answer. Michael Waltrip, Mikey, Bill Elliott, Michael Waltrip. The answer is indeed Michael Waltrip, 1996. 3 wide pass, Earnhardt and Labonte, when they slip up the track. Michael Waltrip, your winner. How are we on time here? Seems like we got to be getting on here. Okay, we are within less than a half hour of potential results here. Although, again, the playoff contenders and certainly a super speedway with all these cars pummeled to pieces, it's only going to take even more time for them to get inspection results. Let me get the Pockrass page pulled back up here. NASCAR Man just updated his yellow line video to include today's finish, so I'm going to retweet that on the old page here so you can check that out. For those of you interested in that. Let's see. Oh, yes, Pockrass. Let me pull up that page. Pulling this up here. Hang on. Okay. All right, Pockrass has put a couple posts, his weekly post about 90 to 120 minutes after the checkered flag is the updates. And you just have an update on the standings. We do not have a call yet. We do not have a call at this point. We'll see within maybe the next like 20 to 30 minutes, perhaps. No one is in a must-win as far as mathematics, says Pockrass. All 4 below the cut. Bowman, Elliott, Boyer, Byron likely need to win unless Logano or Keselowski has trouble. Okay, so 6 spots left for the round of 8, heading into Kansas next week. That's the scenario. Yes, no word on any anomalies yet. All right, we'll keep Pockrass's page up here, and we'll close that out and that out. All right. Let's see. Let's switch the subject here and try another one here. What's the next subject you guys like me to try? We'll do a segment changer. Now we've done a number of tracks one. We'll go ahead and start here. We got go ahead and start at the top for anybody who's just jumped in here. NASCAR, pits, teams, tracks, drivers, wild card. Okay, those are the categories: NASCAR, pits, teams, tracks, drivers, and the wild card. Any other guesses on that? We have drivers. We have 3 for that. Okay, we got another one for driver. Yeah, wild card. No kidding. Looks like drivers is getting the most votes here. Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. Okay, it's like drivers just ahead of teams. Maybe we'll do drivers, then we'll jump to teams here. So let's do that. No. Yes. Okay, here we go. All right, first question for drivers. Who was the NASCAR Winston Cup champion in 1974 and 1975? Who was the NASCAR Winston Cup champion in 1974 and 1975? We have Richard Petty. We have Richard Petty. Other votes here still coming in. The answer is, of course, Richard Petty. All right. Next question. Who was the first president of the Professional Drivers Association Union? Who was the first president of the Professional Drivers Association Union? The first president of the Professional Drivers Association Union. Richard Petty again is getting the board. Bobby Allison. All righty, the answer is Richard Petty. Let's go for the hat trick. What driver was the 1979 NASCAR Winston Cup champion? What driver was the 1979 NASCAR Winston Cup champion? We have Richard Petty. Richard Petty. I swear I'm not making this up. It's really doing this. Look here. You can see it right there. What driver was the NASCAR Winston Cup champion? I thought it was going to be like Rookie of the Year, and it would throw us off. We'd be like, oh, man. Okay. Tell you what, if this next question is Richard Petty, we'll switch subjects. How about that? We'll probably still switch subjects anyway, but let's see. Okay. Let's get to the next question. Oh, it's not going to let me switch it. Come on. Answer. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. What driver moved from Craftsman Trucks to drive Winston Cup car number 31 in 1997? What driver moved from Craftsman Trucks to drive Winston Cup car number 31 in 1997? Mike Skinner. Mike Skinner is getting the polls. Here we go. Mike Skinner. And of course, yes, Mike Skinner, your Rookie of the Year in 1997. Mike Skinner. All right. All right, here we go. Next question. What did Bill Elliott finally do in his 56th NASCAR Winston Cup race? What did Bill Elliott finally do? What did he do in his 56th NASCAR Winston Cup race? That's how it phrases it. What did Bill Elliott finally do in his 56th NASCAR Winston Cup race? Win, finish top 5, get a pole, Mike Skinner. Let's see. The answer is won the pole. Yes, won the pole, not win the race. Winning the pole. There you go. That was Bill Elliott's first pole. There we go. See, it's tossing in the harder questions to the easier ones. I like it. At least does that. Okay, here's a fun one. Next question. Who grumbled, "I've had more peaks and valleys than the state of Arizona"? Famous quote here. "I've had more peaks and valleys than the state of Arizona." Who said this? Doesn't say whether it's a driver or anything. Well, it's a driver category, so I guess it does say it's a driver. Who grumbled, "I've had more peaks and valleys than the state of Arizona"? I've had more peaks and valleys than the state of Arizona. All right, here we go. Rusty Wallace, Darrell Waltrip, Jeff Bodine, J.D. McDuffie, Bill Elliott, Rick Mast, Bobby Allison. The answer is Bobby Allison. Bobby Allison is the answer. There we go. Got a couple of votes on that one there. Or at least Jesse Henry got it. It sounds like a Kenny Wallace thing to say, doesn't it? But no, not quite. Sounds like a JD thing too. Yeah, see, you're kind of bad booking. All right, here we go. Whoop. All right, we did that already. Who dubbed Rusty Wallace Rubberhead after a 1988 wreck in a Bristol practice? Who dubbed Rusty Wallace Rubberhead after a 1988 wreck in a Bristol practice? We have Dale Earnhardt. We have Darrell Waltrip. Dale Sr., Darrell Waltrip, Earnhardt. Seems pretty split. Ricky Rudd, Dale Earnhardt, DW, Dale Earnhardt. Just about, I think we're alternating here. Darrell Waltrip. Okay. Who dubbed Rusty Wallace Rubberhead after a 1988 wreck in a Bristol practice? The answer is Dale Earnhardt. It does sound like a Darrell Waltripism, doesn't it? Especially with all that. But it just shows how colorful the personalities were back then. You know, you can't tell from one to the next. Almost sounds like a Benny Parsonsism or something. But Dale Earnhardt is the answer. Dale Earnhardt. Because, of course, Dale Earnhardt. Okay. Who won the Busch Clash for the 6th time in 1993? Who won the Busch Clash for the 6th time in 1993? Thank you, Headball. Yeah, I got my Justin Haley deal there with the lightning bolt, the lightning strike that allowed the number 7017 to win. They are still using that old car cover from Daytona. I saw the Premium Motorsports team use it at Darlington during the rain there. Dick Trickle, Dale Sr. Answer is Dale Earnhardt Sr. Yes, indeed. Not Mark Martin. Nope, not quite. Good guess, too, but nope. Dale Earnhardt. Okay, we're getting a lot of Earnhardt and Petty questions here, so I'm going to move on to Wild Card, and we're going to see how wild this gets. How about that? How about that? We should be right on top of the time right now. Okay, we're about 10 minutes from the early edge of the window here, but it could be much longer than that. Let's refresh the page. Okay. The only one that could clinch during Kansas stages is Hamlin, who needs 18 points at Kansas. At Kansas, it's going to be hard to make up even 18 points without one of those 6 above the cutoff having a major issue. Would expect most of them to get stage points. Okay. There we go. Hey, what's up, Red Racer? You want to see if we get a third Dale Earnhardt question in a row? Let's go ahead and see. Let's go ahead and see. Okay. What track's fans witnessed Lee Petty's first win and his last win? That's under drivers. I almost thought I hit tracks by mistake. No, that's under drivers. What track's fans witnessed Lee Petty's first win and his last win? What track's fans witnessed Lee Petty's first win and his last win? Martinsville, Darlington, Martinsville. Any other guesses? The site of Lee Petty's first win as well as his last win. You think about Terry Labonte winning his first and last wins at Darlington. But was that the case for Lee Petty? His first win and his last? Columbia? Okay. Any other guesses? Canadian Tire? There's a fun one. The answer is Heidelberg's. There we go. Stump the group. My goodness. The drivers one hurt us. It wasn't going to give us a third straight Earnhardt question. Heidelberg's is the answer. I don't know where that is. I think it's like Pennsylvania, I think. No, that's not a wild card one. That's a driver question. So he's got the, you can't quite see it here, but it's got the DV there, if that's for the driver category. Can't really see it very well there, but yeah. Okay. So let's move on. Let's do the wild card one again. Okay, here we go. What's the name on Bobby Allison's birth certificate? What is the name on Bobby Allison's birth certificate? I know, it's a great statistic on the last one. That's really a weird one. What's the name on Bobby Allison's birth certificate? Is the next question. Robert Allison, Robert Arthur, Robert? I don't know how much of the name it's asking for. That's all the question's giving me. What's the name on Bobby Allison's birth certificate? All right, Robert Arthur Allison. The answer is Robert Arthur Allison, correct. All right, next question. What year did CBS first air the Daytona 500 live, flag to flag? This is the speed run. What year did CBS first air the Daytona 500 live from flag to flag? There you go, bad bookie, you got it. There you go. There you go. It's 1979, of course. There we go. That's the challenge now. If it's a really easy question, it's always going to bang it out really quick there. Try to get those 4 numbers as quick as you can. All right. I don't know why it's a wild card question, but there you go. What year's highlights included Dale Earnhardt's infamous pass in the grass? What year's highlights included Dale Earnhardt's infamous pass in the grass? Why infamous? It's famous. It's not infamous. It's not like something terrible happened. What year? Yeah. All right. 87, 87, 86, 92, 88, 87, 87. Answer is what? No. No, this is incorrect. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have a mistake on the machine here. Not exaggerating here. It says, what year's highlights? Okay. Let me see if I can do this on the screen here so you can see it. Let me get it out of the focal range here. It's not, looks really blurry. Okay, what year's highlights included the infamous pass in the grass? Okay, the pass in the grass. Now I need to hit the Q&A button. Okay, so I'm hitting the Q&A button, and it says the answer is 1989. That's not right. 1989 is 1987. Yeah, no. No. Okay, I got a letter to write. Yeah, that's Rusty and DW. Exactly. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, it says 1989. So yeah, and you see that the question was phrased that way. Okay, well, nothing's perfect. There we go. I guess that's why it's a wild card question. It's trying to guess you what the answer, the wrong answer is. Yeah, my faith has been shaken to its core. The trivia machine was incorrect about something. Goodness me. All right. Let's move to the next question. What was the official pace car at the 1995 Brickyard 400? The official pace car at the 1995 Brickyard 400. Yeah, it wasn't the pass on the grass either. Yeah, he asked Chase Elliott that. I thought that was funny when he interviewed that. The official pace car at the 1995 Brickyard 400 is the next question. Camaro, Corvette, NSX, Pontiac Trans Am, Corvette, Monte Carlo. The official pace car, the 1995 Brickyard 400. The answer is a Chevy truck is the word. I guess Chevrolet Silverado. I guess Jesse Henry got the closest to it. It says Chevy truck specifically again. Now it's gone from getting the wrong answers to just being really vague. But okay. All right. We still do not have a call on Pocris's page. All right. Who was the self-described leader of the Alabama gang? Speed run. Who was the self-described leader of the Alabama gang? Self-described leader of the Alabama gang. Bobby Allison, Bobby Allison. And the answer, of course, is Bobby Allison, indeed. Yes. The answer is Corvette. Robert Arthur Allison. Donnie Allison. What new name did the Busch Clash get in 1998? The answer was Jeff Gordon. Okay, maybe we'll do backwards trivia. Just try to come up with like the worst answer you can think of for these things or something. What new name did the Busch Clash get in 1998? Bud Shootout. Budweiser Shootout. The Bud Shootout. And indeed, that's the answer. The Bud Shootout. The Bud Shootout, specifically. If you want to split hairs on that one. What's Kenny Wallace's favorite baseball team? Is the next question. Kenny Wallace's favorite baseball team. That's all the question gives us. What is Kenny Wallace's favorite baseball team? A little bit of cross-sports rivalry here. Cardinals, St. Louis Cardinals. Any other guesses on that? Kansas City Royals, New York Yankees, Red Sox. Answer is St. Louis Cardinals, of course. In the postseason right now. My A's already got knocked out in the wild card game, so I haven't really been watching too much of it. Except when Clayton Kershaw loses with the Dodgers, because I just don't get that guy. Seems like every time I turn it on, he's giving up home runs. But easy for me to say. Okay. What's the name of the rooster on Terry Labonte's number 5 Chevrolet? What's the name of the rooster on Terry Labonte's number 5 Chevrolet? Corny? Kellogg's? Any other guesses? The name of the rooster on Terry Labonte's number 5 Chevrolet in 1998. Corny? Kellogg's? Corny? It was on the car. The answer is Cornelius. It was on the freaking car. Yep, Cornelius. It's giving us the full name. It must be the birth name of the rooster. Cornelius. The Corny, yeah, close enough. I'm sure there were other ones that said Corny on it. Cornelius, the cornflakes rooster. Yeah, advertising is a fascinating world. You come up with these things. And it's like, okay, we're okay, folks, we're coming up with a cereal. The cereal is going to be little bits of corn that are mashed flat, deep fried or baked or whatever, and just stuffed in a bag with a lot of air in it. And we're going to sell it for people to eat during breakfast. And you put milk on it, and it turns to mush in 15 seconds. So you have to eat it really quick. What do we call this? It's like, oh, we'll call them cornflakes. Like flakes of corn. It's like, well, corn comes in kernels. It doesn't come in flakes. Why do you call it that? Well, never mind that. We need to come up with a mascot for it. Now, what's a good mascot for flattened corn? Well, okay, a rooster. Why not? And what do we call a rooster? Hey, don't ruin my gimmick here. Okay, we're at the hour and a half mark. Okay, so Cornelius. So Cornelius the Rooster. We're at any moment now. We're waiting for results from technical inspection. Do we have anything on Fockers' page? I'm not seeing anything here. Oh, wait a minute. 57 seconds ago, we do have a call. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a call right after the 90-minute mark. Tech is complete. No issues. Blaney is the winner. Ryan Blaney is the winner. So no yellow line violation, no technical violation, and there's no other subtitles to this tweet. It just says those 3 sentences. Tech is complete. No issues. Blaney is the winner. So the Spencer Boyd will be the feature of tonight's Cup Series article, in addition to his win in the Saturday race. And that's the story. So there you go. So we'll wrap up here pretty soon. Ryan Blaney is the winner. All right. Well, there you go. Oh, it's your birthday today, Ultimate 23. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, man. How about we do one more wild card question? We call it good for today. And we'll do this here. What driver was awarded for saving a greyhound that was about to be put down? Oh, this is a nice question to wrap up. What driver was awarded for saving a greyhound that was about to be put down? What driver was awarded for saving a greyhound that was about to be put down? Tiny Lund, Davey Allison? Your guesses on here. Last question of the day, folks. Well, let's jump in there with those guesses. Was awarded for saving a greyhound that was about to be put down. Davey Allison, Ward Burton. Any other guesses on that? Sounds like something Bobby Allison would do. I would agree. I don't know the answer to this one either. This is definitely a wild card question. Ryan Newman sounds like something he'd do too. This is 1998, so that's a tricky part of it there. I didn't know if he was in ARCA in 1998. The driver was awarded for saving a greyhound. It's about to be put to sleep. All righty. Welcome there, Ultimate 23. There we go. All right. The answer is Derek Cope. Boom. Stump the field. How about that? Derek Cope. I would not have guessed that. That's legitimately, I mean, I don't know any of these people personally, but I mean, wow. Good on you, Derek. I got to say. Yeah. My goodness. Well, hey, how about that? Good on him. Good on him. How about that? Well, hey, that's a good way to wrap it up. Well, we always like to end things with a feel-good story here. So we'll wrap it up here for this week. Tune in next week when we get back to the other LASCAR headquarters, and we'll do this all over again for the Kansas weekend coming up this Sunday for the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. In the meantime, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the weekend's action at Talladega. In the meantime, at LASCAR on Brock is my Twitter feed. LASCAR.info is the website. And, of course, patreon.com/LASCAR on Brock for bonus material, including the ongoing work that I'm doing with both NASCAR Man as well as my own videos and some other projects along the way. Our next coverage is going to be coming up trackside at the ISM Raceway next month. Go ahead and if you're interested in joining the Patreon, get your name onto the magnet there. In the meantime, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Hope you all had a good weekend and everything. And we will see you next week to do it again from the world's flattest state in Kansas.